"Don't be so insecure," she said, before going to dinner with her ex. Then my buddy sent me a photo of her on his lap. I packed my stuff and left without a word. Now she's begging to come back. All right, Reddit, buckle up because this one's a ride. My girlfriend of 2 years called me insecure for not wanting her to have dinner with her ex, then got caught sitting on his lap at some fancy restaurant the same night. I didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't send a single angry text. Just packed my stuff and ghosted her completely. Now she's a wreck and I'm doing better than ever. Here's the whole story. I'm 28, work as a senior analyst at a consulting firm here in Columbus. Nothing flashy, but I pull in decent money, got my own place, drive a paid-off 2019 Honda Accord that gets me where I need to go. I'm the kind of guy who meal preps on Sundays, hits the gym 4 days a week, and actually reads the books on his shelf instead of using them as decoration. The consulting gig pays well and keeps me busy. I specialize in process optimization, which is basically a fancy way of saying I help companies stop doing stupid things and start doing smart things. Most of my clients are mid-size manufacturers who need help streamlining operations. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and then some. I've been with the same firm since I graduated, worked my way up from junior analyst to senior in about 4 years. My boss keeps hinting about a management track, but I'm not sure I want to deal with that headache yet. My apartment's nothing crazy, but it's mine. 2-bedroom in a decent complex on the east side, 1 bedroom converted into a home office with dual monitors, an ergonomic chair, and a standing desk I actually use. My back isn't getting any younger, and sitting 8 hours a day in college destroyed my posture. The living room's got a nice sectional I saved up for. Leather, comfortable, the kind of couch you can actually fall asleep on without waking up crippled. 55-inch Samsung mounted on the wall. Kitchen that actually gets used because I taught myself to cook during college when ramen got old and restaurant food started eating my budget. The Accord was a calculated purchase. Did 3 weeks of research before I even started looking at lots. Compared reliability ratings, insurance costs, resale values, the whole deal. Some guys need a truck or a sports car to feel like men. I need a vehicle that starts every morning, doesn't drain my bank account, and won't leave me stranded on the highway. Practical? Yeah. Boring? Maybe. But boring also means I paid off my student loans 2 years early and have an emergency fund that could cover 6 months of expenses. Different priorities. After a string of relationships that went nowhere, mostly because I kept dating women who thought having your life together was code for boring or controlling, I'd basically accepted that maybe I was just meant to be single for a while. The last girl before Jenna actually told me I was too much because I remembered her coworkers' names and asked about them. Apparently, basic human interest is overwhelming. So I focused on myself, career advancement, fitness, hobbies that actually meant something to me. Started restoring this old turntable I found at an estate sale for $50. Previous owner had been some jazz enthusiast who died, and his kids were selling everything. The turntable was a Technics SL1200 from the early 80s. Absolute classic. Just needed some love and new parts. I spent 6 months bringing it back to life, ordered components from specialty shops, watched hours of YouTube tutorials, learned more about audio engineering than I ever expected. Built a pretty solid record collection too. Classic rock, jazz, some blues. Nothing beats the sound of vinyl. There's a warmth to it that digital just can't match. My buddy Kevin thinks I'm pretentious for caring about the difference, but he also thinks Nickelback is good music, so his opinion is irrelevant. Then I met Jenna at Kevin's housewarming party in spring of 2022. Kevin's been my best friend since freshman year of college. We bonded over both being the only sober guys at a frat party because neither of us was into the scene, but we'd gotten dragged there by roommates. Now he works in IT for a hospital system and had just bought his first house. Nothing fancy, a 3-bedroom ranch in the suburbs that needed work, but it was his. The housewarming party was basically an excuse to show off and eat free food. Jenna was there because she worked with Kevin's girlfriend Sarah at some tech startup downtown. Marketing coordinator. The kind of job where you spend all day on social media and call it strategy. She had this energy about her that pulled you in. Quick wit, great smile, the kind of laugh that made you want to keep saying funny things just to hear it again. Dark hair, green eyes, this sundress that fit her perfectly. Way out of my league, or so I thought. We ended up talking for 3 hours straight while everyone else was playing games and doing shots in the backyard. Started with small talk about the house, evolved into actual conversation about careers and goals and what we wanted out of life. She seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say, which was refreshing. Most people at parties just wait for their turn to talk. She seemed genuinely impressed that I had a 401k, knew how to cook something other than frozen pizza, and didn't live with roommates at 27. You're like a unicorn, she said, eyes a little wide. An actual adult who has his life together. Do you know how rare that is? I've been told it's a character flaw, actually. She laughed. That laugh. By who? People who are jealous they can't adult properly? We exchanged numbers. First date was dinner at this Italian place I'd been wanting to try. Second date was a walk through this art exhibit downtown followed by coffee. Third date she came over and I made her pasta from scratch while she watched and asked questions about my technique. By the fourth date we were officially together. Dating Jenna was good. Real good. We're talking actual future conversations. She mentioned wanting to meet my family after month 3. Asked about my lease renewal timeline, when it was up, whether I was thinking of staying in my current place. Made jokes about needing more closet space for when I move in. All the signals pointed to this being the real deal. Her job at the startup was demanding, but she seemed to thrive on the chaos. Always had stories about impossible deadlines and difficult clients and corporate drama. I'd listen, offer advice when asked, mostly just let her vent. That's what partners do, right? She even got into my hobbies, which was new for me. Most girls glazed over when I talked about records or explained why I was spending my Saturday rebuilding a turntable instead of going to brunch. Jenna would sit on my couch while I worked, feet tucked under her, asking questions about what each component did and why it mattered. She'd hand me tools, play DJ with my collection, actually seemed to care about the stuff I cared about. She even surprised me with a rare pressing of Miles Davis's Kind of Blue for my birthday. Cost her like $200. I should have known then that she was either really into me or really good at pretending. Her friends liked me. Her coworker Megan became a mutual friend. We'd do double dates with Megan and her boyfriend, game nights at Kevin's new house, that kind of thing. Even Jenna's mom, who I'd met twice at family events, sent me a Facebook friend request and commented on my post with those heart emojis moms love. Her dad was more reserved, but he'd shake my hand firmly and make eye contact, which in dad language means approval. By fall of 2023, I was thinking long-term. Not ring shopping yet, but getting there mentally. Running the numbers on what I could afford, what kind of timeline made sense, whether it was too soon or if 2 years was enough to know. We'd been together almost 2 years. Things were stable. Good. Comfortable in the right way. Then came that Tuesday in early December. I'd left work an hour early to make her favorite dinner. Rosemary chicken, homemade pasta, the whole deal. Tuesday nights were our thing. No restaurants, no crowds, just good food and each other. I'd been doing these dinners since our 3rd month together. Never missed one. Had Miles Davis playing low on the Bluetooth speaker, candles lit, table set with the nice plates. I even grabbed ingredients for that tiramisu recipe she'd been bookmarking on Instagram. Mascarpone, ladyfingers, the expensive cocoa powder. I'm that guy. Sue me. She texted around 6 saying she was running late, catching up with Megan from work. No problem. Turned the heat down, let the chicken rest, kept everything warm. She walked in around 7:15, all smiles and perfume, kissed me, wrapped her arms around me from behind while I plated the food. Normal stuff. Good stuff. We sat down to eat. Conversation flowing easy. She's telling me about some difficult client at work. I'm listening, adding commentary, making her laugh. Classic Tuesday night. Then she gets this look on her face. The kind of look that makes your stomach drop before your brain even processes why. So, she says, drawing it out, you'll never guess who messaged me today. Who? Dylan. And just like that, the temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Dylan was her ex from before me. They'd dated for 2 years in her early 20s. According to Jenna, he was a total disaster who never had his life together. She'd told me stories about him forgetting her birthday, canceling plans last minute, being generally unreliable. He worked in tech, bounced between startups, apparently had the emotional depth of a puddle. She'd painted him as everything I wasn't, which, looking back, should have been my first red flag. When someone spends that much energy comparing you favorably to their ex, maybe they're not as over that ex as they claim. Dylan, I repeated. Your ex Dylan? Yeah, can you believe it? He's in town for some tech conference. Wants to grab dinner tomorrow night. Catch up for old times' sake. I set my fork down, took a breath, chose my words carefully. Dinner with your ex, just the two of you. Her smile tightened. Here it comes. Oh, don't start, she said, warmth draining from her voice like someone pulled a plug. It's just dinner. Don't be so insecure. There it was, the word. Insecure. She'd used it before whenever I expressed any kind of discomfort about anything. Didn't like her texting her ex? Insecure. Wanted her to check in when she was out late? Insecure. Had opinions about boundaries? Insecure. It was her trump card. Her way of making me feel like the problem for having completely normal human reactions to questionable situations. It's not about insecurity, I said, keeping my voice level. It's about respect. For me. For us. For what we've built. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes at me like I was being unreasonable. Well, I'm going. It's not a debate. I can have friends. She stood up, grabbed her glass of sparkling water. I'm not going to be controlled. And she walked out of the kitchen, left me sitting there with my carefully prepared dinner, my candles, my Miles Davis, and a knot in my stomach that told me everything I needed to know. The next night was torture. She left around 6, wearing the black dress I told her she looked amazing in, the expensive perfume she saved for special occasions, heels that definitely weren't for just dinner with an old friend. You're really not going to say anything? She asked at the door. What would you like me to say? I don't know. Have fun. Be safe. Something a normal boyfriend would say. Be safe then. She huffed and left. Door closed a little too hard. I tried to watch TV. Couldn't focus. Tried to read. Same problem. Kept checking my phone even though I told myself I wouldn't. Around 8, my phone buzzed. Not her. Kevin. Hey man, I'm at the Baxter. I see Jenna with some guy. The Baxter was this upscale restaurant downtown. White tablecloths, dim lighting, $40 entrees. The kind of place you go for anniversaries and proposals, not casual catch-ups with old friends. I texted back, yeah, her ex, Dylan. It's just dinner. 3 dots. Then, does just dinner usually involve her sitting on his lap? My brain short-circuited. I actually read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Before I could respond, another message. A photo. I tapped it, and my whole world collapsed into that one image. Jenna, in her black dress, perched on this guy's lap in a booth, his arm wrapped around her waist, hand on her hip. She was laughing. Not just smiling. Full-on head thrown back, mouth open, pure joy laughing. That laugh. I knew that laugh. I'd fallen in love with that laugh. And I'd noticed it had been getting rarer around me lately, but I'd blamed work stress, holiday pressure, whatever excuse made sense. Turns out it wasn't gone. It had just been redirected to someone else. The guy, Dylan presumably, was looking almost directly at the camera with this smug expression, like he knew exactly what he was doing, like he'd won something. I sat there for maybe 5 minutes just staring at the photo. No rage, no tears, just this cold, clear certainty settling over me like snow. She'd called me insecure, made me feel crazy for having concerns, and this whole time, she knew exactly what she was planning to do. The manipulation was breathtaking in its simplicity. Make him doubt himself. Make him feel like the problem. Then do whatever you want while he's too busy second-guessing his own instincts to notice. Not anymore. I got up from the couch, walked to the hall closet, pulled out my suitcase and duffel bag. The big one I used for business trips and the smaller one for weekend getaways. Tonight they'd serve a different purpose. Time to go. The packing took maybe 40 minutes. I was methodical about it. No tears, no rage, just cold, efficient focus. Like packing for a work trip, except the destination was the rest of my life. Grabbed my laptop first because work doesn't stop for personal crises. Work files from the home office. The project notes I'd been working on all week. My grandfather's watch that he'd worn every day for 30 years before passing it to me on his deathbed. The first edition Hemingway he'd left me, the one that sat on my nightstand because looking at it reminded me where I came from and the values he'd taught me. Clothes from the drawers, not everything, just the essentials and my favorites. The stuff that felt like me. Left the sweater she'd bought me that never really fit right. Left the matching Christmas pajamas from last year that were more for her Instagram than for actual use. Left the cologne she'd picked out because she said my usual one was too basic. Left anything that existed because of her preferences rather than mine. It felt good to shed it all. Like I was rediscovering who I was before I started adjusting myself to fit someone else's expectations. Before I started second-guessing every opinion, every preference, every instinct, because maybe it made me too much or too intense or too insecure. The bathroom was quick. Toothbrush, razor, my actual cologne. Left the fancy skincare products she'd insisted I needed. I'd been fine for 28 years without a 7-step routine. Last thing I packed was a photo from my nightstand. Me and my brother on that fishing trip 4 years ago. Both of us sunburned and grinning, holding up bass that were way too small to brag about. But we didn't care. Had nothing to do with her. Was from a life before her. Would be part of the life after. I took a notepad from the kitchen counter, the one we used for grocery lists. For 2 years, this notepad had contained shared domestic planning. Milk, eggs, don't forget toilet paper, pick up dry cleaning, normal couple stuff that builds a life together. I wrote 2 words. You were right. Let her figure out what that meant. She was right that I shouldn't stay with someone who made me feel insecure for having standards. She was right when she said I was too much. I was too much for someone who wanted so little. Set my apartment key next to the note. The finality of the metal clicking against the granite was satisfying in a way I didn't expect. wheeled my suitcase to the door, took one last look around. The couch we'd picked out together, the photos on the wall, the candles on the kitchen table still flickering from the dinner I'd made her. None of it was mine anymore. It was just stuff. My phone started buzzing. Her name on the screen. I silenced it without answering. Walked out. Closed the door. Didn't look back. The drive to Kevin's place was weirdly peaceful. She called 6 more times. I didn't pick up once. Kevin opened his door before I could knock. Saw the photo. Figured you'd show up. Couch is yours as long as you need it. Thanks, man. We didn't talk much that first night. He ordered pizza, put on some mindless action movie, let me process in silence. That's what good friends do. They don't push. They just show up. Around midnight, my phone had 17 missed calls and a stream of texts I could see in the preview without opening. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? This is so childish, Sam. Just call me. I'm coming home and you better be there. Then, an hour later, where is your stuff? And, are you seriously doing this right now? I turned the phone off and went to sleep. The next few days were a masterclass in watching someone spiral through the stages of grief, except instead of grief it was, oh no, my backup plan found out and left. Day 1 texts were angry. Full caps, lots of question marks, the works. 9:47 p.m. Where are you? 10:15 p.m. Why aren't you answering? 10:52 p.m. This is so childish. Sam, just call me. 11:30 p.m. I'm coming home and you better be there. Then 12:45 a.m. Where is your stuff? And 12:48 a.m. Are you seriously doing this right now? 1:15 a.m. I can't believe you would just leave without even talking to me. This is so unfair. You're being completely irrational. Day 2 shifted to bargaining. The angry caps were gone, replaced with something softer, more calculated. 7:30 a.m. Sam, please, can we just talk? I know you're upset, but we can work through this. 11 a.m. It looked worse than it was. I swear. We were just catching up and I had too much to eat and got dizzy. He pulled me onto his lap as a joke. It was stupid, but it didn't mean anything. 3:45 p.m. You're really going to throw away 2 years over a misunderstanding? That doesn't seem like you. 8 p.m. I love you. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Doesn't our relationship deserve at least a conversation? Day 3 brought the tears. I know because she left voicemails and I could hear her sobbing between words. Voicemail 1. Sam, crying. I don't understand why you won't just talk to me. I love you so much. Please. I'll do anything. I'll never see him again. I'll delete his number. Whatever you need. Just please call me back. Voicemail 2. I keep thinking about all the things we planned together. The future we talked about. Are you really willing to just throw that away? I made one mistake. 1. And you're just done? How is that fair? Voicemail 3. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I keep looking at the door waiting for you to come back. Please, Sam, I'm falling apart here. Day 4 was the guilt trip. The tears dried up and the manipulation kicked in. Text. You know what? Fine. If you want to abandon me over nothing, that's your choice. After everything I gave to this relationship, after all the times I supported you through your work stress and your family drama, this is how you repay me? Text. Everyone keeps asking where you are. What am I supposed to tell them? That my boyfriend ghosted me because he's too insecure to handle me having dinner with an old friend? Voicemail. I talked to my therapist and she says what you're doing is emotional abuse. Stonewalling. It's a form of control. I never thought you'd be capable of something like this, but here we are. Ah, yes. The classic, I'm actually the victim here pivot. Predictable. I didn't respond to any of it. Not one word. And that silence was driving her absolutely insane. See, here's what she didn't understand. Every relationship she'd been in before, every argument, every situation, she'd been able to talk her way out of it, cry a little, promise to change, make the guy feel guilty for being upset. And suddenly she's the victim and he's apologizing. That only works if the guy engages. If he argues back, defends himself, tries to explain his feelings, because then she has something to work with, something to twist. My silence gave her nothing, just a void she kept screaming into. Kevin thought the whole thing was hilarious in a dark comedy kind of way. Bro, she really thought Don't Be Insecure was going to be enough to cover sitting on another dude's lap. He's shaking his head while we're eating leftover pizza for breakfast. This had become our morning routine since I'd moved onto his couch. That's not even gaslighting. That's just straight up lying with extra steps. She probably convinced herself it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, well, reality's a witch. He pulled up her Instagram on his phone, scrolling with that look people get when they're watching a car crash they can't look away from. Oh man, she's already posting sad quotes. Look at this one. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most teach us the most about ourselves. Gag me with a spoon. She's gonna milk this for sympathy. Let her. Anyone with half a brain can see what happened. He kept scrolling. Oh, this is even better. Oh, when you give someone everything and they still choose to leave. Posted at 2 a.m. Someone's having a rough night. I couldn't help but laugh. Dark? Yeah. But laughter beats crying. The best part is her comments, Kevin continued. All her friends are like, stay strong, queen, and you deserve better. And I'm just sitting here knowing exactly what actually happened. It's like watching a nature documentary about manipulation in its natural habitat. Don't engage. Oh, I'm not. I'm just observing. For science. He put down his phone. Real talk, though. How are you actually doing? Honestly, better than I thought I'd be. It was true. The first night was rough. Lying on Kevin's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our relationship looking for signs I'd missed. But by day 3, something shifted. The constant low-level anxiety I'd been living with for months, maybe longer, was just gone. I didn't realize how much energy I'd been spending trying to manage her moods, anticipate her reactions, avoid being called insecure. Without that weight, I felt lighter, clearer. Good, because you dodged a bullet the size of a bus, my guy. Kevin finished his pizza and tossed the box toward the trash. Missed. Didn't get up to fix it. Classic Kevin. Imagine if you'd actually married someone who thinks caring about her is a character flaw. You'd be divorced in 2 years and she'd be telling everyone you were controlling because you remembered her birthday. He was right. Saw through mutual friends that she was telling people I abandoned her without explanation and was being emotionally abusive by not responding to her messages. So I told them, showed them the photo Kevin sent, watched their faces change from confused sympathy to, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Her narrative collapsed pretty fast after that. I found a month-to-month apartment within 2 weeks. Nothing fancy, just a clean 1-bedroom in a decent area. Furnished it with basics from IKEA and stuff from my storage unit. The place was blank and sterile at first, but it was mine. No shared history, no ghosts. Started building new routines. Gym in the mornings before work, meal prep on Sundays, long runs on the weekends to clear my head. Called up old friends I'd neglected while I was wrapped up in the relationship. Turns out life exists outside of one person. The texts and calls kept coming for about a month, then dropped off. Her final message was exactly what I expected. Fine, forget it. I hope you're happy being alone. You've made your choice. Yeah, I had. Best choice I ever made. Then, about 6 weeks after I left, my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Sam? Her voice was wrecked, raw, like she'd been crying for hours, maybe days. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Jenna? Dylan left. He went back to Seattle. Her voice cracked on every other word. He was just playing around. The whole time. He had a girlfriend back home. A fiancée, actually. I saw the pictures on his Instagram. They're engaged, Sam. He was engaged the entire time. I waited. Let the silence do its thing. I threw everything away, she continued between sobs. Everything we had. Our apartment. Our Tuesday dinners. Our future. For someone who was just using me for entertainment while he was in town. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Sounds rough. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? You made your choice. Turns out it was a bad one. That's not my problem anymore. But I love you. I made a mistake. One mistake. Can't we just talk about this? Figure it out? I know I hurt you, but I'm hurting too. Doesn't that count for something? You know what counts? Actions. You had 2 years of my actions showing you exactly how much I cared. Dinners, gifts, attention, support. And you threw it away because some guy from your past showed up and made you feel spontaneous. That was your choice. This is the consequence. That's not fair. You want to talk about fair? Fair is having a partner who doesn't call you insecure for having basic boundaries. Fair is not having to see a photo of your girlfriend on another man's lap while wearing the dress you told her she looked beautiful in. You don't get to lecture me about fair. There's nothing to figure out. You showed me exactly who you are. I believe you now. She started crying harder. Please, I have nobody. Megan won't even talk to me anymore. She said what I did was unforgivable. My coworkers look at me different because everyone heard what happened. My mom cried when I told her. Actually cried. Said she raised me better than this. Everyone is judging me, and I can't even defend myself because they're right. Maybe because you did something worth judging. You're being cruel. No, I'm being honest. Something you weren't capable of. I hung up. Blocked the number. Went back to watching TV like nothing happened. Because honestly, nothing had. That phone call didn't change anything. She wasn't calling because she actually understood what she'd done wrong. She was calling because her backup plan failed and she wanted her safety net back. That's not remorse. That's convenient. She tried reaching out through mutual friends after that. Had Jessica call me crying about how Jenna was falling apart and needed closure? Had her cousin DM me on Instagram asking if I could just meet her for coffee one time? That's all she's asking. I told them all the same thing. She made her choice, and I made mine. There's nothing left to discuss. If she needs closure, she can find it in self-reflection, not in me. The harassment eventually stopped. Heard through the grapevine that she'd moved back in with her parents and was taking time to work on herself. Lost her job too, apparently. The startup she worked at did layoffs and she was on the list. Whether that was performance-related or just bad timing, I don't know. Don't really care either. Good for her, genuinely. Everyone deserves a chance to grow. But that's her journey, not mine. 3 months after everything went down, Kevin threw a birthday party at this pub near his place. Insisted I come. "You've been hermit mode for too long," he said. "Time to rejoin society. Plus there'll be people there, like female people, who aren't your psycho ex." I went. Wore a new shirt I'd bought myself. Navy blue. Actually fitted properly, instead of just whatever was on sale. Small upgrade, but it felt significant. Like I was taking care of myself again instead of just going through the motion. Felt lighter than I had in months. The constant anxiety of walking on eggshells, of managing someone else's emotions, of being called insecure for having basic standards, all that was gone. I felt like myself again. Maybe better than myself. Like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't even know about until I put it down. The party was good. Loud, fun. Maybe 15 people in the back section of this sports bar. Everyone laughing and arguing about fantasy football. Normal stuff. Good stuff. I'd missed this kind of casual social interaction. With Jenna, there was always tension about who was going to be there, how long we'd stay, whether she'd be in a good mood or not. I was laughing at something Kevin's girlfriend Sarah said. Some story about a client at her job who'd asked her to design a logo that looks like purple smells. When I felt a shift in the atmosphere, you know that feeling. Like the barometric pressure just changed. Like everyone's energy suddenly got weird. I turned around. Jenna was standing there, 5 feet away, looking like a ghost from a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. She'd lost weight, not in a healthy way. The kind of weight loss that comes from not eating properly, from stress, from crying yourself to sleep. Dark circles under her eyes that her makeup couldn't quite hide. That brittle look people get when they're running on anxiety and caffeine and not much else. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger, not even pity, really. Just this distant sort of recognition. Like seeing an old acquaintance from high school and not quite remembering their name. Kevin shot me an apologetic look from across the table. He mouthed, "I didn't know," and I nodded. Not his fault. The world is small and sometimes your past shows up at inconvenient moments. "Sam," she said, voice small, tentative. Nothing like the confident, dismissive tone she'd used when she told me not to be insecure. "Can we talk? Outside?" Everyone got quiet. You could feel the awkwardness settling over the group like a fog. People suddenly very interested in their phones or their drinks. I didn't move from my spot. Didn't give her the satisfaction of going somewhere private where she could work on me without witnesses. "I'm here for Kevin's birthday. Whatever you need to say, you can say it here." That threw her. You could see it in her face. She'd rehearsed this. Had a whole script ready for a private conversation where she'd cry and apologize and somehow get me to forgive her. A public setting wasn't part of the plan. I know I messed up. I was an idiot. Everything you said about respect, about us, you were right. Calling you insecure was wrong. I was projecting my own issues onto you. I was scared of how serious things were getting. Scared of commitment. And I handled it in the worst possible way. I said nothing, just waited. Let the silence do the work. "I see how good you're doing," she continued, words coming faster now, that desperate energy building. "You look great, healthy, happy, and I'm a disaster. My life completely fell apart. My job, my friends, my family, everyone looks at me different now. It's all my fault. I know that. What we had was real, and I destroyed it for nothing." She was waiting for me to say something, to forgive her, to yell at her, to give her anything she could work with. "Okay," I said. Her eyes lit up with desperate hope. "Okay? Like, okay, we can talk?" "No. Like, okay, I hear you. It just doesn't matter anymore." The hope died. You could see it happen in real time, like watching a candle get blown out. You don't care at all. "I hope you figure things out, Jenna." "I genuinely do." I shrugged, but that's not my concern anymore. I turned back to Kevin. "So anyway, about that camping trip," the conversation awkwardly restarted around me. I didn't look back at Jenna. Didn't need to. After a minute, I heard footsteps, then the door opening and closing. She was gone. Kevin raised his glass toward me across the table. Handled like a champ. Wasn't hard. There's just nothing there anymore. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. 6 months later, I'm in a completely different place. Literally and figuratively. Got promoted at work. New title, nice raise. My own office with actual windows. Turns out being organized and planning ahead are valuable traits in the professional world, even if they're suffocating in relationships. My boss literally said, "Sam, you're the most reliable person on this team. We need more people who think like you." Imagine that. Being valued for the exact qualities your ex said were character flaws. Moved into a real apartment, one bedroom with exposed brick and big windows that let in the morning light. Signed a year lease because I'm building something permanent now. Got a better couch, a real bed frame instead of just a mattress on the floor like I'd been doing at the temporary place. Even bought some art for the walls. Not because anyone told me to, but because I wanted my space to feel like mine. The turntable project got finished. Sounds incredible. I've got a whole wall of records organized alphabetically, because that's who I am, and I'm done apologizing for it. Started hosting listening parties on Friday nights. Just me and a few friends, some takeout, good music, low-key and perfect. Started rock climbing at this gym near my place. Good workout, good community, good way to meet people who aren't part of my old social circle. There's something therapeutic about it, actually. It's all problem-solving and trust and pushing past your comfort zone. The people there are focused on self-improvement, not drama. That's where I met Olivia. She's nothing like Jenna. Where Jenna was impulsive and scattered, Olivia is thoughtful and grounded. Where Jenna saw my planning as controlling, Olivia sees it as caring. Where Jenna needed constant excitement and novelty, Olivia appreciates stability and consistency. "You remember everything," she told me on our third date. "We were at this little Italian place I'd discovered, the kind of spot that's been family-owned for 3 generations and doesn't need to advertise. The little stuff I mention in passing. Nobody's ever paid that much attention before. That's kind of sad." "Yeah, it is," she smiled. "But it makes me appreciate it more." She's a physical therapist at a sports medicine clinic, works with athletes rehabbing from injuries, which means she understands commitment and patience and the value of doing things the right way instead of looking for shortcuts. She's got her own apartment, her own car, her own life. She's not looking for someone to complete her. She's looking for someone to complement her. We're taking things slow. Neither of us is in a rush, but it feels right in a way that my relationship with Jenna never quite did. There's no walking on eggshells, no wondering if I'm being too much by caring, no anxiety about whether my basic existence is suffocating someone, just 2 people getting to know each other and enjoying the process. Last week I ran into Megan at a grocery store, Jenna's old friend. We made awkward small talk until she finally said what was on her mind. She's not doing great. Jenna, still living with her parents. Lost her job a few months back. I think the whole thing kind of broke her. That's rough. You really don't care, do you? It's not that I don't care. It's just not my responsibility. She made choices. Choices have consequences. That's life. Megan nodded slowly, like she was processing something. You seem different. Good different. Calmer. More confident. I feel different. Turns out not being with someone who calls you insecure for having boundaries is good for your mental health. Who knew? She laughed. Fair enough. She's been telling people you were emotionally unavailable, and by the way, just so you know what the narrative is. I'm sure she has. And I'm sure the people who matter know the truth. They do. For what it's worth, most of us think she got what she deserved. She paused. That sounds harsh. I don't mean it to be. But like, you were good to her. Everyone could see that. And she threw it away for a guy who literally ghosted her the second his conference ended. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. Exactly. She picked up her avocado. Take care of yourself, Sam. You too. I finished my shopping and drove home. Olivia was coming over for dinner. I was making rosemary chicken, good pasta, the whole deal. Some things don't change. I'm still the guy who plans ahead, who remembers details, who shows he cares through effort and attention. The difference now is, I'm with someone who appreciates that instead of weaponizing it against me. The candles were lit. The music was playing. The table was set. And this time, I knew it was going to be different. Some of you might think I was too harsh, didn't give her a chance to explain, didn't try to work things out. But here's the thing about explanation. She had 2 years to explain, 2 years to communicate, 2 years to bring up concerns before they became deal breakers. Instead, she called me insecure and sat on another man's lap. That's not a misunderstanding. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And choices have consequences. Don't be so insecure wasn't relationship advice. It was a manipulation tactic, a way to make me doubt my own instincts so she could do whatever she wanted without accountability. And I fell for it. For 2 years, I fell for it. Never again. The silent departure wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. There was nothing left to discuss. No explanation that would change what I saw. No apology that would rebuild what she'd destroyed. Some bridges don't need burning. They just need walking away from. So that's what I did. I walked away. I rebuilt. I learned what I was worth. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.